you feeling about that? Let's talk.
Wow, my feeling is, again, I've said this before, we really need to stop celebrating, as in making celebrities, out of people who just happen to be cute and maybe can sing nice lyrics. I haven't heard his songs, so I don't know what his lyrics are like. And maybe he's a really good singer, and maybe he's a really good songwriter, but I think he's got it all wrong when we give.
I don't know how much songwriting he does. I don't know that any of his songs are authored by him. I don't know that. I don't not know that.
So I think that it's fine that he's an entertainer. We all need to be entertained as part of what we love as human beings. And I know when I was a teenager that I had crushes on certain people, like you were talking about John Wilson. Well, I had a crush on him, but you know what I mean. But I think these days those people are given so much power by the media, and they become really.
Much more can I say? Don't even ask. You might see the man behind the mask. This counterfeit soul is the price I pay for the games I play. But when you catch me on my guard, you see through.
Important role models, and that's a real problem when they don't have the education to really know what they're talking about in terms of making a difference. So he's just apparently just ranting about himself. He's obviously an unhappy young man who's suffering, doesn't maybe know how to deal with things, and that's fine. Obviously that's not a problem. I'm sitting here giving my opinion as well. But I haven't got all the newspapers quoting me and following me around and taking photos of me all the time. And I think that's a problem. And I think that it's the media that's making these young people so unhappy. You know, we had a guy here called Gareth Gates who was on something that Simon Cowell did a long time ago called Pop Idol.
Right.
So before he did the X Factor. And this young man won Top Idol, and so he was, you know, really famous and loved by lots of teenage girls for a while. And then there was a picture of him on the front page of one of the tabloid newspapers, maybe 2 years after he'd become really famous. And he was basically facing a brick wall, and the paparazzi were just taking photos of him going, isn't it so funny? When we turn around, he's trying to run away from us. Oh my God, look what's happened to him.
Well, that's the next topic. That's the next next topic that I want to bring up, but I do want Jenny to comment on the Justin Bieber. Okay, Jenny, what's your feeling about
His rant?
not so much his rant as much as it's his defense?
Well, first of all, I think he's an 18-year-old kid who didn't think things through. He just put a whole bunch of crap on his wall, which unfortunately I've seen a lot of people do of all ages, but people, the younger you are, the less likely you are to think things through first.
Well, in all fairness, if the guy doesn't have a drug problem, then, you know, he has every right to be upset and to defend himself. Bringing other people into it was not the right thing to do, which obviously he caught that.
Yes.
But also, by claiming that you're successful doesn't mean you cannot be a functional fuck up, or doesn't mean that it's not the beginning of a downcline. So,
well, there are two possible ways to interpret it, and I don't know Justin, so I'm going to just throw them both out there, and if you're a Justin fan, maybe you have an opinion on which one is more right. But choice A is he doesn't have a drug problem. He's furious that he's being accused of having a drug problem, and he's probably been, if he doesn't have a drug problem, he's probably got an anti-drug bias, you know, in the way he thinks, and he thinks, oh, well, obviously anyone who has a drug problem is a loser and whatever, which is a lot of people who have never done drugs believe that, because, you know, that's what we see, that's what we know. But so if that's the way he thinks, and then he's mad that he's being accused of it, obviously to him, this is his proof that he's not a drug user, because simply saying I don't use drugs isn't good enough. Here's my proof. I'm successful. You know, I'm everything that's opposite what I believe drug users are like. So I could totally see his point in his mind. He just failed to convey it effectively. The other way to look at it is that he does have a drug problem. Again, I don't know, but if he does have a drug problem, he's getting defensive, and he's looking for any old excuse to prove that either A, it's okay to use drugs, or B, to pretend like he's not using them, depending on where he is, you know, in his decline, or in his drug issue, if he has one.
well, I gotta tell you that I did send Justin Bieber a message the same way I sent it to CNN, Fox News, Huffington Post, TMZ, and what I said was, you know, I shared that he said that, listen, I had also worked as a drugs counselor. I personally had not attended AA or NA meetings when I decided that I didn't want to do my drugs anymore. I was ignorant to NA and AA meetings. I think they work if you're willing to work them. However, there's a difference between a drug addict and a drug abuser. And there is a distinct difference, and the public is ignorant to that. You have to determine if somebody's a drug addict or if somebody is a drug abuser, so that you know what therapies work for them. And I had made mention to that in those tweets, texts, emails, Facebook things, because I think that that's a really important issue that people need to think about. And just also, Julie had said, well, you know, we put a lot of emphasis on our celebrities. And you know what? Here's the thing, and I've read comments about this on Facebook walls, and I've read, I've heard actors complain about their privacy, and I've heard other people, paparazzi, say, well, then don't do the job. That's not fair. I don't think that that is right. If you do a job and you do that job well, let's Brad Pitt. We're gonna go with Brad Pitt because we know how much Julie adores Brad Pitt. Okay, we're gonna go with Brad. Now, if that man goes to work on time, does the best job to his ability, he generates money because he's Brad Pitt and a talented actor. He brings in that draw. I still don't think that his personal life is our business. I don't think that it's one that comes with the other, because there are plenty of very popular stars that keep their life more or less private. When Johnny Depp, another one of your likes, when Johnny Depp, you know, you didn't hear much about him except for his acting, because he moved to France with his family to get away from that. You don't hear much about even Leonardo DiCaprio. You don't, I mean, you might hear who he's dating and such because people get photos, but you know, I met Vincent Pastore. I put it on the Facebook page. I met Vinny Pastore, who was Pussy in a very popular show called The Sopranos. Now, the guy was eating. I didn't bother him. I wouldn't bother him. First of all, I'm very shy around those people anyway. At the end of the night, he started passing out these postcards for a show that he was going to be in. And he started taking pictures with people. That's when I said to him, can I please get a signed autograph from my dad? He's a fan of yours. And can I please get a photograph so he knows that I didn't sign it, you know? But I waited. Now, he could have said no, and if he had just eaten his meal and left, I wouldn't have bothered the guy at all, you know? I've run into people on the street in New York City, you know, that I ran into Mark Wahlberg in the Denver airport. The guy seemed to be having an issue with his family at the time, because the look on his face was, man, I've had enough, you know? I mean, it could have been that he was late for his flight. It could have been that he didn't get sleep the night before, whatever. But I knew enough to say, this guy doesn't want to be approached right now. And at that time, he is not on the clock. How do you feel about that? Jenny, I'm going to ask you. How do you feel about that? Should an actor be on the clock 24 hours a day.
No, I totally agree with you. They're human beings. When they're not in front of the camera, or in front of an audience who is gathered there, to meet them, they really ought to be private people who have their own lives. And I really don't care what they do or don't do for the most part. I mean, I enjoy reading a 5 or 6 paragraph summary of what kind of person they are if I like their work. Or if they want to tell me that they particularly have a cause in mind, I may or may not care, but I'll listen. But for the most part, what they are as people is not my business, not my problem. I don't know them. I may like their characters, but I'd rather hear about what their character is like, not what the person behind the character is like.
That's my feeling. That's my feeling too. And don't get me wrong, on occasion I'll buy a People magazine. Sometimes I'm looking at it as I got a script in mind and I want to model the character after that person. Sometimes I just want to know what's going on. However, I read it with a grain of salt because a lot of the times that stuff's not true. However, I would not stalk them out. It is their time. If they tweet something and want to share something with their fans, and I like what they've tweeted, I might respond back. If they've sent a picture that I can appreciate, I might say thank you. But I definitely think that when they are off the clock, that is their time and they have every right to that time. Now, Julie, what's your feeling about that?
I agree with you too. The people that I really love, like Bob Dylan, and I really love Morrissey from the Smiths, and I purposely try not to find out too much about them as people, because unfortunately the things I have found out about them tend to be quite negative, and I think, oh, you're a bit of a wanker, actually. So that's one thing. But yeah, I do actually completely agree with you that, of course, we're all welcome to our own opinion. The three of us are sitting here expressing our opinions, and everyone's got the right to express themselves. But what I really disagree with is when other mediums like the tabloid newspapers and these hideous magazines just take photographs of people, go, oh my god, Cameron Diaz doesn't wear makeup. It's like, no one cares, and it's her personal life, and they put stupid photos on the front, and they say things.
So basically, you're basically talking about the paparazzi. Basically, you're talking about. Okay.
It's horrible.
Because there are valid, legitimate, respectable photographers and reporters, but you're basically talking about the paparazzi.
Well, I think if the person has decided to do an interview and to have their photo taken for a magazine, then that's obviously one thing. And if they want to talk about, oh yeah, I got married, that's fine. I don't think it's any of my business, but if they want to talk about it, that's fair enough. But it's when people try to introduce their privacy and try to trick them and trick them up. And I don't know who's ultimately responsible. Is it the people that buy these awful magazines? Or is it the media themselves? Yeah, you need to put.
No, that's what I'm thinking too. Is it our fault? I mean, because there's a demand. There's obviously a demand. But I am not banging on their doors or have a 12-foot lens invading their privacy.
Yeah. So I think I think a lot of the time people will just buy and watch and listen to what is there and what's maybe the easiest thing. Unfortunately, that is how a lot of us are. And so it's the people that supply the entertainment, maybe, that have to take responsibility. Personally, I refuse to buy these magazines. I won't read the tabloid newspapers, and I'm not interested in who Bob Dylan is married to at the moment. But unfortunately, some people maybe will be drawn into that, and it's quite easy to get drawn into that. So I think media, the whole media needs to be regulated better and to concentrate on things that matter, like climate change and the fact that we might soon not be able to use antibiotics anymore because they're becoming resistant to bacteria.
Right.
Those are things that matter.
Right.